So in today's class we are starting with a new series in which we will discuss about previous year question, and first we will discuss the 2023 ICAR JRF question physical science paper. Uh, in this lecture we will including only 60 question, and in the next part we will include the 60%. And myself Debnath Sarkar, MSc Soil Science, Vedant Chandra Kisi Vishwavidyalaya. So the question is the arrange the mineral based on their descending order of weatherability. Here the descending order means the first one that is in the order has the most weatherability. That means that is most vulnerable to weatherability, and the last one is the least weatherable. That means highest resistance to weathering. Okay. Now among these minerals, quartz is tectosilicate, muscovite is a phyllosilicate, olivine is nesosilicate, and titanite and zircon, apatite, not apatite, zircon, olivine, these are all meso or orthosilicate. Okay. Now, while attempting these kind of questions, we will try to figure out whether the last one is different among all or not. So here we can see that in the all the four options, the last one is different. Now among all these, we will see which will among these four have the highest resistance to weathering. So obviously we know that olivine or any nesosilicate or orthosilicate have least resistance to weathering. Okay, phyllosilicates is comparatively better in resistance to weathering, and quartz is most resistance to weathering. Okay, so we will focus on quartz now. Now before quartz, that is the garnet. So we will see whether garnet is more resistant to weathering than quartz or not. So garnet is a nesosilicate. That means it is it has less weathering resistance. So that means this option should be the correct option, because all these three are not true according to their order. Okay. So the option is answer is option A, option 1. The second one is the here assertion and reason is given. The assertion says that soil clay has maximum influence on soil behavior, and the reason is soil has greater surface area per unit mass and is most physicochemically active. Okay, so we know that these two statements are correct. Okay, so soil has maximum influence on soil behavior because most of the chemical physical properties like CEC, buffering capacity, pH, nutrient availability, physical characteristics like structure, water holding capacity, porosity, most of these parameters are influenced by soil clay content. Okay, and clay do have higher surface area per unit mass, and because of its high because of its surface area and charge, it is most physicochemically active. So both A and R are true. Now we have to find whether R is the correct explanation of A or not. So I will share you one trick. In most of the questions like this, if the subject of the two sentences are same, that means clay, and here is also the clay. If both of these are same, that if the subject is same, so in that case most of the time it is the correct explanation of A, and the answer is 1 obviously. Okay, so if the both are true, A and R are true, and subject of both A and R are same, then in most of the time the answer is that is the R is the correct explanation of A. So here is a numerical in which total nitrogen uptake by above ground portion has been asked, where the yield of root, straw and grain and their respective nitrogen content have been given. Okay. Now, as it is provided that the above ground portion, so we will simply just discard the root yield and its nitrogen content. And the rest is very simple. Just multiply the yield with its nitrogen content, then we will get the uh, total nitrogen uptake in that portion. So by straw, it's the uptake is the yield is 6 ton per hectare and its nitrogen content is 0.5%. Okay, so 6 ton equals to 6,000 kg and 0.5% means 0.5 by 100. So by multiplying, we will get 30 kg per hectare. Similarly, for grain, it is 4 ton per hectare into 1.5%, and by that we get 60 kg. So total is equals to 90 kg, and that is the answer, the option 3. So soil water content increasing order. We have to arrange that from the least moist condition to most moist condition. So here in the picture we can see that increasing soil water content, increasing soil water content, and it is increasing soil water potential. We know that higher potential means higher moisture content. Okay. Now at saturation the moisture content is maximum and the water potential is also 0, and below that, that is the fill capacity, the moisture content is less than saturation and the potential is around 0.3 or 0.1. Then comes, after more depletion of soil moisture, the point comes the wilting coefficient or wilting point, PWP. The potential is 15 bar. Similarly, hygroscopic coefficient where it is 31 bar. Then comes the air dry point when it is 1000 bar, and uh, even after that point comes the oven dry state when there is almost no water and the potential is minus 10,000 bar. Okay, and here it is clearly defined the gravitational water, capillary water, hygroscopic water, and the available or super available portion of the water. Okay, so we can easily order this water content, increasing order. So oven dry state has the least moisture, then comes the hygroscopic coefficient, then permanent wilting point, then the fill capacity. So the answer is B, then C, then D, then the fill capacity. So the answer is 2. Here is a question asked from the biomolecules portion. So it has been asked that which statement is incorrect. Okay. Now amylose and amylopectin. The uh, question is quite confusing because this statement is correct, that is alpha D glucose unit are present in both the molecules. Now the question is whether amylose is water soluble or water insoluble or amylopectin. Now amylose is water soluble and amylopectin is water insoluble, and there is a reason for that. Amylose is unbranched chain of glucose molecule, whereas amylopectin is highly branched molecule of branched chain of uh, glucose molecule. Okay, so when water is added to amylopectin, this whole structure coiled up in a way that it does not get solubilized in water. Okay, so this is why the amylose is water soluble, but amylopectin is not water soluble. So the amylose is water insoluble fraction of starch. This is wrong, and amylopectin is water insoluble. This is correct, and this is also correct, and this is also correct. Okay, and the answer is option 4. So in this list, the name of scientist and what they have been discovered are asked to be matched. Okay. Now first we have to see the option. So if there is option in which any B, C, D or A have different values of 1, 2, 3, 4, then it will be easier if we can identify the correct option for that. That means if A was this was 2 and this was like 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we can know the answer of A, so we can easily uh, mark that as the correct answer. Okay, so try to apply these tricks in exam. So now James Wilson is pioneer of hybrid wheat. Okay, you have to know that there is no concept regarding that. Winogradsky has discovered the nitrogen fixing bacteria, the rhizobium. Okay, and he also isolated the bacteria Clostridium. Beijering isolated the rhizobium, and initially it was called as the Bacillus radicola. And Busengold showed that the nitrogen fixing ability of the legumes. Okay, now R.H. Painter, he mainly worked on the host plant resistance. Okay, and he defined the host plant resistance, that the few type of character that enables plant to resist some injury from pest or disease. And there has been three classification of host plant resistance, that is anti-zoonosis, antibiosis, and tolerance. And the SS Baines is worked on the relay cropping, which is a type of cropping system in which the second crop is planted when the first crop is still in the field. Okay, it is also known as the Paera or Utera cropping. So the answer is 3. Here some characteristics regarding minerals have been given. So if you know that minerals have definite chemical composition, so this is correct. Minerals are inorganic in nature. This is also true. The atoms that make up the minerals are not arranged in an orderly pattern. So this is wrong, because in minerals they follow some crystal structure. Whether it may be cubic, it may be uh, hexagonal, whether it may be dodecahedral. So a specific type of crystal structure is followed in mineral. It is a must criteria. Okay, and mineral are the building blocks of rocks. So rocks are made up of minerals. That rock may be made up of one single mineral or more than two minerals. So based on that, they can be classified as monomineralic or polymineralic. So if you know the definition, a mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic substance with a definite chemical composition and an orderly atomic structure. So this is the definition of mineral. If you can remember this, you can easily solve this question. So the answer is A, B, and D. So this is the correct answer, option 2. So now some nutrient and their function in biochemical function in plant bodies. So the first one is the molybdenum. Molybdenum is closely related with nitrogen fixation through its nitrogenase enzyme, which contain two protein cluster, that is the FES cluster and MOFES cluster. So, okay. So molybdenum is directly related with nitrogen fixation. Manganese is related with photolysis in the photosystem 2, in which water is broken down and oxygen is evolved. Manganese is closely related with oxygen evolution in photosystem during photosynthesis. Okay, magnesium is the central ion in the chlorophyll structure, where magnesium is related with uh, 4 pyrrole ring. Okay, and zinc is related with the oxygen synthesis. Uh, and one thing to note here, that the tryptophan is the precursor of oxygen. Okay, so the answer is the answer is option 2. Okay, Uh, the thing I was telling in the previous slide, that if we know the one answer of the C, we can solve the whole question. We don't need to know all the other things. So C, that is the magnesium. Magnesium is related with chlorophyll structure. We know that. That is very easy. So from that we don't need to look for others. We can simply mark it as the correct answer. Now the question is, uh, we have to order the electromagnetic radiation in terms of their energy level, decreasing or energy level. Okay. So among these, if you follow this picture, you can see that the gamma ray among all the electromagnetic radiation has highest energy because it has very small wavelength. Okay. Now energy is inversely related to the wavelength according to the Planck's law. Okay. So gamma ray will have the highest energy, then comes the X-ray, then UV ray, then visible, then infrared, then microwave, then comes the radio wave. So we can easily order those. So the decreasing energy level. So first one is the gamma ray, then comes the visible, then comes the infrared, then the radio wave. So B, C, A, D is the correct answer. So in this we have to select which are the amino acid. So this question was incorrect in the JRF examination because all of these are amino acid. Okay, so you can see here different amino acid. Their structure have been also been given. Actually, there are 20 amino acid and there are 61 codons to specify them, and there are three nonsense codons or stop codons. And among all the amino acid, methionine is the first amino acid to be incorporated in the protein or to be synthesized in the cell. So here is a question regarding the assumption reasoning. So universal soil loss equation is A equal to RKLSCP. So this one is correct. Okay. The reason says that universal soil loss equation determines for the reduction of soil erosion to tolerable limit necessitates the adoption of properly planned cropping practices and soil conservation measures. This one is also correct. Okay. Now I mentioned that the trick that if the subject of both the statement are same, then the arts is the correct explanation of A. Okay. As both the statements are correct, that is uh, the because this universal soil loss equation helps us to limit the soil loss by measuring different cover, different practices, conservation practices. Okay, so as both the subject are same, so R is the correct explanation of A. Here are some books and their authors are to be asked. So we know that it is very famous that Rachel Carson has written the Silent Spring. Okay, so from these options we can easily sort out that this one is the correct answer. We don't need to know other three. We know only one. Rachel Carson has written the Silent Spring, and from that we can answer this question. So there is only one option containing A4, so this is the correct answer. And the rest books are Humphrey Davy has written the Element of Agricultural Chemistry, Humphrey Davy Elemental of Agricultural Chemistry. Theophrastus has written Nature of Plant. S. Ball has written the Genesis, Soil Genesis and Soil Classification, and Rachel Carson the Silent Spring. So option 2 is the correct answer. So here is the question asked about regarding the uh, arranging Indian space program from earliest to the latest, in which The first comes the Indian National Satellite 1A, which initiated in 1992. Then comes the RESAT that was launched in April 2012, which was radar imaging satellite. Then comes the mission or a Mars orbiter mission, which was initiated in 2014, 2013. Then comes the Chandrayaan 2, which was launched in 2019. So the order will be INSAT, then RESAT, then Mars orbiter mission, then Chandrayaan 2. So DACB. So option 4 is the correct answer. Here are different research institute and their headquarters. So Indian Institute of Soil Science is located in Bhopal. Indian Institute of Horticultural Research is situated in Bangalore. Krida in Hyderabad, and Arid Zone Research Institute in the Jodhpur. So which equation governs the flow of water in saturated soil? So Poiseuille's law is related with the flow of viscous fluid through a narrow tube. It is not related with the soil in soil flow. Bernoulli's equation is for non-viscous fluid, which is not applicable to soil water movement. Stokes' law is related with the settling velocities of the small spherical particles in fluid medium, which is a completely different thing. And the last one is the Darcy's law, which is related to the flow of water in saturated soil, not only the saturated soil but also the unsaturated soil also. So the answer will be Darcy's equation, option 3. So what type of covalent bond link the amino acid in a protein? So the bond is called as the peptide bond. So how does this bond is formed? Two amino acid, uh, the carboxylic end, that is the C terminal, and the N terminal come close together, and one water molecule is removed, and a glycosidic and a peptide bond is formed, that is the CONH bond. Okay, there are different types of bonds also. Glycosidic bonds, that carbo joins or links carbohydrate to another carbohydrate molecule or another group. It is actually ether bonding. Ether means R O R. Okay, this is a common formula of ether. Then comes the hydrogen bonding, which is a different bonding in which a electrostatic attraction between a hydrogen atom which is bound to a more electronegative atom such as nitrogen, oxygen, or fluorine. It is more common in uh, atom molecule containing oxygen. And there comes the ester bond, which is a bond when a carboxylic acid and a alcohol react. So COO is the carboxylic bond. In plant, the photoassimilates are translocated as. So now the photoassimilates are mainly the glucose. Now for easy transportation of the glucose molecules are transformed into a different forms. So what are those? So they can be either sucrose, sorbitol, or stachyose. Sucrose is a disaccharide composed of a glucose and a fructose molecule, and it is the most common uh, form in which photoassimilates are translocated. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol containing number of hydroxyl groups. Stachyose is a complex oligosaccharide containing 4 sugar units, in which a sucrose and 2 galactose is present. Okay, but it is less common in plant. most of it is sucrose. So the answer is sucrose, sorbitol and stachyose. The question asks the different element and their different electronic configuration. For that, we need to know the atomic number of those elements. And so I will suggest you to remember atomic weight and atomic number of element up to 30. Okay. So if we know the atomic number, that is the for magnesium it is 12, sodium 11, lithium 3, chloride is 17. So we don't need to know the electronic configuration. Just we will sum up all this number, and if that match with this their atomic number, then we will conclude that those are the elements. Magnesium is 12, so 282 is the 12. So this is the magnesium. Sodium is 11. 281 is the sodium 11. So this is the sodium. Lithium is 3. 21 is 3. So this is the lithium, and 287 is the 17. So this is the chlorine. So which of the following theories are associated with humus formation? So except the chemiosmosis theory, all other three theories are related to humus formation. Chemiosmosis theory is related with the energy released through ATP hydrolysis. So ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate, and energy is released. So this during electron transport change, and this was given by Peter D. Mitchell. Okay, so chemiosmosis theory is not related to humus formation, but rest three are related with the humus formation. Polyphenol theory was given by Stevenson. Lignin protein theory was given by Flage. Only lignin theory was given by Waxman, and the sugar amine condensation theory was given by Stevenson. Okay, so the answer will be A, B, D. Option A. So here is the different method and in which those methods are used. So gel method is used for nitrogen estimation, and Subia acid or alkaline permanganate method that is used for the available nitrogen in soil. Gel method is usually used for total nitrogen estimation. Okay. Walkley Black, also known as the wet digestion method, is used for the estimation of organic carbon. Hydrometer method is used for the estimation of sedimentation of soil particle or determination of soil texture. International pipette method is also used for this objective, that is the soil texture measurement. Gravimetric method is used for soil moisture estimation, uh, which is the most precise method but also the destructive method. Okay, so the answer will be option 3, A4, B3, C2, D1. So point out the mobile nutrient in soil and immobile nutrients. So as a thumb rule, the cations are immobile and anions are mobile. Only exception with the phosphate ion, that is highly reactive with soil particles, gets immobilized in the soil. Okay, so exception except phosphate. Okay, so from that we can easily get that mobile nutrients only include nitrate, chloride and borate ions. So the answer will be option 2, C only, because copper, iron will not be mobile, phosphate is not mobile, and here ammonium is not mobile also. Here is the different element are given. The term infiltrability is coined by Daniel Hillel. I have discussed this in our soil physics classes. the infiltration capacity or infiltrability is the amount of water per unit time which a given soil profile takes in through its surface when it is continued in a contact with water at atmospheric pressure. That means if a constant water level is maintained on a soil surface, at that condition, how much water infiltrates into the soil is the infiltration capacity or infiltrability. So this concept was given by the Daniel Hillel. So here are some theory proposed and their author. The father of fertilizer chemistry is none other than the Levy. Nutrient index was given by Parker. The root interception was given by the Stanley Barber, and weathering index was given by Jackson. Okay, so here is a no, that is the nutrient index was given by Parker, salt index was given by Puri, and weathering index was given by the Jackson. Okay, for nutrient index, value less than 1.67 is generally considered low. Between 1.67 to 2.33 is medium, and greater than 2.33 is the high. Okay, root intersection is nothing but the exchange of ion when it is in contact with the soil particles. So for removal of this ion from soil surface, the root here will come closer to this ion and get exchanged to this surface. The cation exchange theory on further refining gave rise to the concept of root interception, a term coined by Stanley Barber, a scientist or professor of Purdue State University, USA. Okay, and the index, that is the weathering index, helps us to arrange all the minerals according to their weatherability or resistance to weatherability. A higher weathering index shows higher resistance to weathering. So the answer will be 4. The word soil has been derived from the Latin word solum. So the answer will be Latin. Similarly, a question may be asked that where does the term agronomy derived? That agronomy term derived from the Greek word agros, that means field, and nomos means management. So agronomy means field management. The pH range at which desirable color change occurs for a particular indicator is called as the PT. Okay, also known as the transition range, in which the color transition takes place. Two statements are given. First one is the olivine is the least stable, and it has independent silica tetrahedron held together by forming bonds with hydrolyzable magnesium and oxidizable iron. Okay. Now olivine is a orthosilicate or nesosilicate mineral consisting of independent silica tetrahedrons, and those in between those independent silica tetrahedron there are oxidizable iron and hydrolyzable magnesium, which make those very vulnerable to weathering. And if we take this weathering index value, olivine is the most susceptible primary mineral on this list. Gypsum, having the value 1, is a secondary mineral, calcite also a secondary mineral, but olivine is the only primary mineral, tops the list. Okay, so both the statements are correct. Okay, so the answer will be option 1. Microwave remote sensing is useful in monitoring soil moisture, canopy structure, snow cover, moisture profiling in atmosphere, and ocean circulation. All these options are correct. Microwave remote sensing is used in soil moisture studies using the backscattering coefficient. Due to its very high penetration, canopy structure can easily be uh, estimated using different band of microwave like L, X, etc. Canopy height, canopy density, canopy width, different thing parameters can be measured. Snow cover can also be measured. Flood mapping also be done. Moisture profiling in atmosphere can also be done with microwave humidity sounder. Okay. For ocean studies, sea state measurement, measurement of sea surface salinity, wind speed over sea surface, oil pollution, these things can also be measured. So all these things can be measured using microwave remote sensing. Microwave remote sensing is a growing science in remote sensing arena and is gaining a huge attention due to its widespread applicability. And another thing to note here that microwave remote sensing generally have a lower resolution, and microwave remote sensing is called as the all-weather satellite or remote sensing because it can penetrate clouds and during uh, during small droplet rains, microwave remote sensing can also be used. Errors in measurement caused by a factor which vary with measurement is the random error. There are generally two types of error, that is one is the random error or another one is the systemic error. Random error is if we take measurement of same thing, same weight of same small amount of mass, there will be slight differences in each time, and that kind of error, that kind of differences is called the random error. Okay. Now systemic error occurs when all the measurement of the physical are affected equally. That means if we measuring the spectroscopic reading of suppose 0.2 ppm phosphorus, 0.4 ppm phosphorus, 0.6 ppm phosphorus, and we are getting a reading that is equally proportionally higher than proportionally higher in all these cases. Suppose it should have been come x, so it is coming instead of x, it is coming x plus 2, it is coming x plus 4, it is coming x plus 6, like this. And the random error would be if it is coming, it should have come x, it is coming x plus 1 once, then comes x plus 3, then comes x plus 5, then comes x minus 2, like this. There is no logic in that case. Okay, so these two things are very different. One is the random error, another was the systemic error. Remote sensing of vegetation characteristics obtained by only the visible light and the microwave and the infrared rays. Okay, UV ray does not interact with vegetation. Okay, most of the interaction of vegetation in the electromagnetic spectrum is due to this visible light. Among those, red and blue are greatly absorbed by plants, and green is reflected. That is why plants are green. Plants are seen green. Okay. Now, in the infrared range, the NIR band has highest reflectivity, and using this R and NIR, we calculate a index that is called the NDVI, Normalized Different Vegetation Index. It is very important. NDVI is calculated using the red band and NIR band reflectivity. Now comes the micro. In the previous few slides back, we discussed about the application of microwave. Where we discussed that microwave remote sensing can be used for studying canopy structure, canopy width, canopy depth, density, etc. So microwave remote sensing also got its applicability in vegetation monitoring. Okay, so the answer will be B, C, and D. So the option 4. Equivalent weight of salt depends on number of equivalent weight of an acid that combine into salt. Okay, for acid, it is the molecular mass of acid divided by its basicity, and for base, it is the acidity. Okay, for mass of for oxidant and reductant, for oxidant it will be the number of electron gain per molecule, and for reductant it is the number of electron lost per molecule. Now comes the salt. So suppose we have to calculate the equivalent of this calcium chloride. So we have to calculate molecular weight of the calcium chloride and number of molecule of acid reacted to produce this calcium chloride. So here we can see from the balanced equation that two molecules of hydrochloric acid has reacted with the calcium hydroxide to form this calcium chloride. So we can say that the equivalent weight of the calcium chloride will be molecular weight divided by 2, which is correct. So the answer will be option A. Here are different devices and their use. So liquid limit device, or also known as the Casa Grande device, is used for measurement of soil plasticity or the liquid limit, upper plasticity limit. Pycnometer is used for measurement of specific gravity of the soil or particle density of the soil, like that. Before scale is used for measurement of wind speed. Along with that, anemometer can also be used for measurement of wind speed. Piezometer is used for measurement of depth of the water table, also the hydraulic head in saturated soil. Okay, so the answer will be option 2. Arrange the following minerals in terms of their increasing stability. So from the weathering index value, we can order those things. So first comes the hornblende, which is a chain inosilicates. Okay. Then comes the biotite and muscovite, which are phyllosilicate, and then comes the quartz. Now among biotite and muscovite is more resistant to weathering than the biotite. This is because of its tetrahedral rotation. We had already discussed in the soil chemistry clay structure, soil silicate clay structure. You can see that in lectures. So among biotite and muscovite is more resistant to weathering than biotite is. So the order will be first hornblende, then biotite, then muscovite, then the quartz. So answer is 4 C A D B. Here is different discoveries and their scientists associated. Essentiality of nutrients was given by Arnold and Stout. Stages of cell was given by Walter Fleming. The cell was first discovered by Robert Hooke from the cork of wine bottle. From the cork, it was initially made up of a tree bark, and then he first made a microscope, then examined under microscope, and he sees some honeycomb-like structure in the cork slice, and he identified this as the cell. Okay, and the Khaira disease was first discovered by Y.L. Nin, which is mainly due to the toxicity of hydrogen sulfide gas in rice and deficiency of iron or zinc, you may say. So the answer is 4. Then the structure of two soil compared, uh, it will be better whose cumulative meanoid diameter is lower. MWD is this, and difference between two MWD is called as the CMWD. So less is the difference, better is the soil structure. This is very simple. We had recently discussed about problematic soil. That is, if the saline soil has a saline soil and there is alkaline soil or sodic soil, we will consider. Saline soil has a EC more than 4, ESP less than 15, and pH less than 85. So this is wrong. So statement 1 is wrong. Now alkaline soil, we have discussed that have pH more than 7 only, not more than 8.5. So this is wrong. And this is also wrong. It is less than 4, and ESP is also greater than 15. So this is wrong. So both the statements are wrong. Mass of sample in picogram method is less than how much gram? Now picogram means 10 to the power minus 12 gram. Okay. 10 to the power minus 6 means microgram, and this is just simply the grams. Here are different deci, centi, milli, micro, nano, pico, and deca, hecto, kilo, mega, giga, tera. So here are different prefix of its fractions and multipliers. You can see that. So it is very simple question. If it has been the picogram already mentioned, so we will just pick the fraction of the pico, so which is 10 to the power minus 12. Water has maximum density at temperature 4 degrees centigrade. We know that. We are studying it from our class 10th level. So 4 degrees centigrade means in absolute scale it will be 4 plus 273, that is 277 Kelvin. So the answer is option 2. So here different theory proposed and their author and formula. Now textural triangle was uh, developed by Whitney. For ideal gas, the ideal gas formula equal to Pv equal to nRT, where P is the pressure, V is the volume, N is the number of mole, R is the universal gas constant, and T is the absolute temperature. pH scale was developed by Sorensen, PF scale was developed by Scopel. We had already discussed in different classes. And there are three different values. P plus P that was given by Lindsay, and P value was given by Silent. The sign that deals with the soil genesis and classification is called as the. There are different similar terminology. First, we learn that petrology is related with the study about rock. Petrography is description. Graphy means to describe something. Logy means to study. So petrology is study about rock. Petro means rocks. Petrography means describe rock. Genesis means origin. So origin of rock. Then comes the pedology. Pedology means genesis, survey, classification of soil, not rock. And edapology is soil and plant, its relation. So here in the question it has been asked about the soil. So we will mark the pedology with our eyes closed. We don't need to see the other option. So the answer will be pedology, option 2. This is question from a development program, that is SREP, Strategic Research Extension Plan. So this is associated with Agriculture Technology Management Agency or ATMA, and it works at district level. Here is detail given regarding the SREP and ATMA. You can read it here. Now mutation in DNA. We know that mutation always happen. Some are heritable, some are not heritable, some are harmful, some are not harmful. But the thing is that it occurs spontaneously at a low rate. It is always occurring. Okay. Now, it only occur on X chromosome. This is not true. Mutation can occur in any chromosome at any point of time, and it increase tumor growth. It is kind of true, but it is not always true. So this thing is wrong. Always harmful? No. Some mutations are sometimes helpful. Only the lethal mutations are harmful. Okay, so the answer will be occur spontaneously at low rate. Option 3. Unit of mixing ratio. Mixing ratio is the amount of or mass of moisture present in a dry air. Okay, so it is a dimensionless measure and its unit is kg per kg or gram per kg. So the answer is option 3. Active absorption is governed by which theory? Now for your more interest, you can refer to this link. Okay. Now passive uptake is a method of nutrient uptake in which no metabolic energy is involved and movement of nutrient molecules is along the concentration gradient, and in active uptake metabolic energy is involved and it occurs across the concentration gradient. It occurs across the concentration gradient. That means opposite direction of the gradient. So there are different theories of passive uptake, that is the mass flow theory, ion exchange theory, and the Donan equilibrium theory. And in Donan equilibrium theory, this only facilitates the more uptake of cations inside the cell. And for active uptake theory, there are 4 theories, that is the carrier concept by Honrad, 14 lecithin as a carrier, it was given by Bennett and Clark. Cytochrome pump theory for movement of anions only, and the ATP theories. So we can easily point out that active absorption theory is the lecithin theory. Now the next question is the quantity of sodium carbonate required to prepare 500 ml of 0.1 normal sodium carbonate. Now equivalent weight of sodium carbonate is calculated from its molecular weight divided by number of metal into its valency. From this formula, the number of the molecular weight is 106 and number of metal is 2 into it, so valence of sodium is 1. On the other hand, you can also calculate it from the previous question, that for salt it is molecular weight divided by number of acid required to produce this. That means for this it will be sodium hydroxide plus 2H2CO3. So the number of acid is 2, so this will be 2. Okay, so now as we get the equivalent weight of sodium carbonate as 53, now we can easily calculate the required amount. So to prepare 1 liter one normal solution, we will require 53 gram sodium carbonate. To prepare 500 ml or 0.5 liter one normal solution, we will require 53 by 2, that is 26.5 gram sodium carbonate. Now to prepare 500 ml, and this one normal will divided by 10, so it will be divided, 53 will be 53 by 2 will be divided by 10 again, so it will be 2.65 gram. For 1 liter one normal it is 53, for 0.5 liter one normal it is 53 by 2, for 0.5 liter 0.1 normal it will be 53 by 20, as simple as that. So the answer will be 1. So now the value of tortuosity in soil is uh, obviously greater than 1, because tortuosity is the ratio between the total flow path that a particle or water goes through divided by the actual linear distance. So from the picture we can easily see that the LT is very much larger than the L. If LT is greater than L, so their ratio LT by L will obviously greater than 1. So the value of tortuosity will also be greater than 1. So it is kind of a analytical question from analytical chemistry. So that this asks that what is the determination of one or few constituents from the sample. So now see, in case of ultimate analysis, a chemical element, a chemical element is determined. Its quantity is determined. Suppose, as for example, what is the amount of nitrogen that is present in pulses? In case of proximate analysis, a quantity of a compound, a biological compound, a radical that are estimated, like protein content in pulse. But in case of ultimate analysis, we are interested in determining the quantity of element, but here it is the quantity of radicals or compound. Okay, in complete analysis, all the constituents are completely analyzed. Okay, that means if there is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, protein, amylose, any parameter, all are analyzed. But in case of partial analysis, what we do, we are doing two or three constituent and their composition are analyzed. That is called partial analysis. Okay, in ultimate analysis, we are mainly interested in elemental analysis. In proximate analysis, we are interested in compound radical specific analysis. In complete analysis, we are completely analyzing the sample, but in case of partial analysis, we are mainly focused on two or three constituent. Okay, and here are some classification of analysis based on the quantity of the analyte. Okay, so the answer of this question will be partial analysis. For more information, you can check this link. Now it is very basic question, that means soil moisture regime and their annual soil temperature. So basic is 8 to 15, thermic is 15 to 12, then hyperthermic is 20 to 28, and hyperthermic is 20 to 28, and megathermic is greater than 28. It is very basic question, so there is no complex about it. The characteristic of plinthite horizon, it is very important. In the Indian Society of Soil Science book, there are different type of these uh, pedological terminologies. So try to remember all these things. Okay, so plinthite is, it is taken, this snap is taken from the book itself. So plinthite is a humus poor sesquioxide rich horizon which hardens irreversibly to ironstone, hardpan or aggregates with repeated wetting and drying. Okay, that means if we wet, initially wet, then dry it, it will not get its initial position. Okay, so it is irreversible change, and the red and indurating portion of the layer are usually mottled with yellowish and grayish or white material. Okay, so this is the statement from the book. Now here, the state in the question, the statement says it is rich in humus, so it is definitely wrong. It is humus poor, clearly written. It is rich in sesquioxide, it is true. Presence of yellowish and grayish mottles, it is also true. And the last statement says that hardens reversibly. No, it hardens irreversibly due to repeated wetting and drying. So the correct answer is B and C only, option 2. arrange the following carbohydrate molecules in their increasing molecular weights. So now in case of biochemistry, sometimes we cannot know the exact answer. So how we will approach in exam center, examination hall? So that is the main thing. So we know the basic biochemistry, that is the glucose is a monosaccharide. Okay. So we will mark it at number 1. Now sucrose is a disaccharide. Okay. Now comes amylopectin and starch. Both are polysaccharide. Now how can we approach? Now in a previous question we had already discussed that starch or cellulose, these kind of storage material that are uh, mainly seen in plants, are made up of two main, amylose and amylopectin. So amylopectin obviously a building element of the starch or cellulose kind of things. So after sucrose we will rank amylopectin, then will come the starch. And from this order we can easily arrange those molecule based on their molecular weights. Okay, but uh, so in the answer key there is no such options, so this question was dropped. What is the average life of a radioactive element whose half life is a 30 days? Now half life is directly related to the decay constant by the formula half life equals to ln2 natural log 2 by decay constant. Okay, so decay constant equal to value of ln2 is 0.693 divided by half life. Okay, now the average life, if we indicate as tau, so that is equal to 1 by lambda. Okay, so that is 1 by lambda. So from here we can see that average life equals to t half by 0.693. Okay, you just put the value. T half equals to, already said that, 30 and divided by 0.693, and you will get the value as 43.29. The answer is 4. You have to know this. You have to know this formula. Half life equal to half equals to ln2 by lambda. You have to know this. Now, under which law industry is likely to cause environmental pollution should be examined by? So this question is bit of confusing. I will not suggest to attempt this kind of question in examination hall, but you can take chances. Okay. Now, directly or indirectly, all these laws are related with industries. Okay. Now, if we apply general knowledge, as no such specific pollution or pollutant are not listed here, like any sewage effluent or any poisonous gas emission. So if there was any heavy metal pollution in water, then we will consider water. In it was greenhouse gas emission, nitrous oxide emission, like that. So we will consider the air act. Okay. Now the Factories Act, that was 1948, it was mainly because of mainly related with the functioning of the factories, their worker, etc., etc. That was not directly related with the environmental pollution. So left only the left one is the Environmental Protection Act, which was uh, kind of related with the environmental pollution. Okay, so the answer will be option 3. Now, what will be the soil texture if it contains 60% clay, 20% silt, 20% sand particles? Now, any soil that contains at least 35% clay will be considered as the clay category, because it is the most active fraction of the soil. So the quantity of this clay fraction to be a soil to be categorized under clay will be very less, because it is very active. On the other hand, sand is very less active, silt is very less active. So a soil to be classified at as sandy or silty soil, they need a very higher fraction. So as the fraction is greater than 35%, we will just clearly categorize this soil as the clay soil. Now, assertion reasoning question, that is, assertion says that Bacillus megatherium is an efficient phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, and Bacillus megatherium produces different organic acid for dissolution. Both statements are correct. Okay. This Bacillus megatherium var phosphaticum, to be specific, produces different organic acid, specifically alpha carboxylic acid, which can chelate the phosphorus fixing elements like aluminium, iron, calcium, and mobilize the phosphorus from those fixed compounds. Okay, so by production of those organic acid, Bacillus megatherium can solubilize phosphorus. Now, is the reason is actually explain the assertion? Yes, because as I said the trick that both the sentence has subject same Bacillus megatherium, and the reason why it is a efficient phosphorus solubilizing bacteria is clearly defined here. So we will mark the option 1 as the correct answer, that is R is the correct explanation of A. Now here is another assertion reasoning question, that assertion says that sky is blue due to scattering of sunlight. Okay, and the reason says that the sky reflects the sea and ocean, which are blue. No, although the assertion is true, but the reason is completely wrong. The color of sea or ocean is maybe it blue, but that does not make the sky blue. The sky is blue due to scattering of sunlight, and you can easily say that see that both the statements are contradicting themselves. So we will just cancel out one statement. Okay, so the R is false, then the option is 3. So here are some additional information that uh, says that rainbow is formed due to refraction and reflection also, and as sunlight reaches the earth atmosphere, it interacts with gases and particles in the air. As most of the longer wavelength, like in the red, orange, yellow, they can pass through the uh, atmosphere without very much change, but blue, being a smaller wavelength, can interact with the atmosphere uh, and undergo process called as Rayleigh scattering, which is the main reason behind the blue color of the sky. Now, which of the following is true? Uptake of molybdenum by plant reduced with sulfur application. Boron toxicity decreases with decreasing concentration of calcium. Iron plays a synergistic role in relation to zinc. High copper in soil causes dieback in citrus. Now, uptake of molybdenum by plant reduces with sulfur application. There is an antagonistic relation between molybdenum and sulfur because both of these elements are taken by the same transport protein in the plant root. So they compete with each other during plant uptake. So application of one of the two will affect the uptake of another. So if we apply molybdenum, then sulfur uptake will be reduced. Conversely, if we apply sulfur, then molybdenum uptake will be reduced. Now the second one, boron toxicity decreases with the decreasing concentration of calcium. This statement is wrong, because when calcium availability is high, it allows the plant to tolerate higher boron toxicity. That means boron toxicity decreases with increasing calcium concentration. There should be an optimum calcium to boron ratio in a plant, otherwise the plant will suffer boron toxicity. Okay, so the boron toxicity increases with decreasing concentration of calcium. Okay, the reason is written here. Iron plays a synergistic role in relation to zinc. No, iron will play antagonistic role with most of the divalent cation like copper, zinc, Fe, Mn, not Fe, Mn, etc. High copper in soil causes dieback in citrus. It is completely wrong because copper deficiency causes dieback in citrus. So the only correct answer is the option 1. The characteristics of immogolite. Okay, so immogolite are paracrystalline in nature without any defect and produces broad X-ray diffraction free. And they form tubular structure, and it is found in weathered volcanic ash, that is the andesol. These have very high surface area, and due to this its higher surface area, it can absorb a huge amount of phosphorus, which leads to phosphorus fixation in these soils. Another thing to note here that due to its very porous nature, because volcanic eruption produces it, so there are huge amount of gases that are trapped in this in its crystal structure, which leads it to a very low bulk density. Okay, so low bulk density, high phosphate fixing capacity are these are the characteristics of this immogolite. Now, read the statement in the question. So they are found in andesol. It is correct. They have low bulk density and high plasticity. It is also no. These are not have high plasticity. Low bulk density is true. They have high potassium fixing capacity. No, they have high phosphorus fixing capacity, and they are paracrystalline in nature. Obviously, they are paracrystalline in nature. Okay, so the correct options are only option A and option D. So here are different theories and their author. So contact exchange uh, was proposed by Jenny and Overstreet. Okay, so these are all these snaps are taken from in Indian Society of Soil Science book. Okay, so conceptually as root system developed, so during root intersection process, Jenny and Overstreet proposed this concept of contact exchange. Okay, air capacity of soil was introduced by Kohnke, who said that the volume of pore space filled with air when the soil is under tension of 50 millibar. That was called as the air capacity. We have discussed about this in our soil physics classes. Now, mobility of nutrients. Mobility of nutrients is nothing but the Bray concept, who said that overall process whereby nutrient reach and sorbing root surface, thereby making possible their uptake into the plant. And he classified mobile and immobile nutrient like nitrate as the mobile, phosphate, calcium, and potassium as the immobile. And two things to note here, that mobile nutrient generally follows the law, Liebig's law of minimum, and immobile nutrient concept and immobile nutrients follows the rule of Ball and the Mitchell-Lewis. Okay, and growth factor and yield, this concept was initiated by the Mitchell-Lewis, which said that increase in yield of a crop as a result of increasing single growth factor is proportional to the decrement from the maximum yield obtainable by increasing that particular growth factor. That means when the growth factor is very much the growth factor is absent. Okay, so then if we increase a single factor of that growth factor, then the increment of the yield will be very much. But when there is the growth factor is present in sufficient amount, then addition of that growth factor will not create that much of yield increase. Okay, so the main thing is that the yield increment decreases with increment of the growth factor. Okay, so the Mitchell-Lewis was the scientist who uh, related the growth factor and the yield concept. So the answer will be contact exchange by Jenny A2, B4, C1 and D3. Option number 1. Training dataset is used to identify desired feature in remote sensed image in supervised classification. So in supervised classification, what we do, we take a picture. Now there are different kind of pattern or spectral signature in the picture. Okay, suppose in this area there was a high reflectance in green band and low in red and blue band. Okay, similarly suppose here is very low reflectance in SWIR region. So what we do, we take a small area of this portion and tell the software that this is a vegetation. We take a small area of this picture and we tell the computer as it is the water body. So how we do that? We generally do it by our seeing the image in false color composite, or we have suppose sufficient knowledge about the uh, area of our interest. Okay, so initially we tell the computer that this is a area of crop field or water body like that. Okay, so what the computer do, it classifies all other pixels having the similar characteristics. So it will join all other pixel having similar characteristic and tell that it is a water body. Similarly, you will join all the pixel of similar character and tell it has the vegetation. But in case of unsupervised classification, what is done? We say the computer that hey, it is the picture, and now classify all this area in 10 group according to its spectral signatures. Now, according to spectral signature, the computer will classify all this area, all this pixel in 10 groups. Now, we will see all the clusters, all the cluster of pixel, and note it there as this. Suppose it is a water body, so we will note it as water body. Suppose it is a crop field, then we will note it as crop field. It is a settlement area, so we will note it as settlement area. So unclassified, unsupervised classification is comparatively very simple. Okay, so here is the written version. The training sample are selected and image is classified based on the chosen sample. The training sample are key because they will determine which class each pixel inherit from the overall image. Steps: select training areas, generate signature file and classify. In unsupervised classification, there is only two steps. The system will generate cluster based on similar spectral characteristics, as I said. Then you will classify each cluster without providing training sample of your own. Simple. So what is the vertical movement of air and heat from Earth's surface to the atmosphere? So the answer is convection. There are different kind of heat transfer movement. One is conduction. Conduction is when particle itself transfer its heat to another particle by means of contact. It is generally seen in solid and liquid medium where the particle are in contact with the other, but in atmosphere it is of no use. Okay, radiation is another where there is no media is required, like sun rays coming through the atmosphere without warming the atmosphere and strikes the earth's surface and hits with the earth's surface, so it is radiation. Okay, the next one is the convection where earth's surface, the air which is in contact with the earth's surface gets warmed up, goes up to the higher altitude where it cool down and again comes down to the earth surface. Advection is horizontal transfer of heat where a pocket of air gets warmed up and moved to a colder place having a uh, lower temperature. So by that the temperature is, or the heat is transferred from a area horizontal to the other area. Okay, so vertical movement generally occurs through this circular motion of the liquid or gas. So this is all for today. In the next class, we will discuss about the rest 60 questions. Thank you very much.